Hi, it's Gemma. This episode comes with a warning of strong language, honest opinions, and some topics that you might find upsetting. But that's why you love us. We can't help but overshare. Are you ready for some oversharing?
Because oops, we did it again.
Testing.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, you sounded like you were at like a holiday park in like Great Yarmouth then. You know those like people, it was the sound.
Oh.
It was the mic sound. It was that slightly very up close, you know, when a DJ is like, hello. It's like the bar closing.
The cake is now being cut.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Will the owner of the black Prius please come to the front reception desk?
Why do you do this every single time?
Because it's how I like to do it.
A good job you ain't a DJ. You'd have a well bad neck. Right, let's crack on.
DJ Crick.
Oh. Right, you ready, mate?
Born ready, babes.
Born ready. It's Born to Make You Happy. Anyway, I was like, there's a Britney song in there somewhere. Oh my god, quickly. Did you hear Paris Hilton was on having an interview the other day, and she was basically saying, because do you know she's a DJ, like quite a good...
I do. She's quite a renowned DJ as well, mind you.
She got asked to DJ a party at the White House. And
no, yeah, you tagged me in it.
I tag you in it.
She turned it down for the fact that she got to go to Britney's wedding.
He's like, I'm not going to be that person that turns up in a helicopter to Britney's wedding. It's like, if anyone could do it, it would be Paris Hilton though.
I mean, to be fair, I would pick Britney over Joe Biden.
So would I. And it's not like she won't get that opportunity again. It's not like the rest of us who, you know, have to pick between situations.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick Britney over Joe Biden any day of the week.
There you go. Amazing. Right, anyway, you ready?
Born ready.
We're going to have the same conversation again. It's like I was born to make you happy. Right.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I am Lauren.
And I'm Gemma.
And this is Oops, We Overshared Again. We're very excited for this one.
Very, very much so. And today we are very much being guided by you, the listener.
Sounded a bit, I don't know what that sounded. Sounded a bit weird. But you're right, we are very much guided because we are doing a Dear Gem Loz episode where people have sent in questions that we are going to answer. I did put a little disclaimer on Instagram, like we will try our best, but please don't take our advice if it's bad, because there is a chance that whatever we start with a serious answer will just turn into a joke as well. So we will do our best.
And we're not qualified professionals. We have, well, in some ways we are. But
in some ways we are. But when we're paired together, we're not a great mix.
Not in a professional sense, no.
Not in a professional sense. So just, you know, don't...
Take what we say with a pinch of salt.
That's basically where I'm going with that. So yeah, we've got some questions. We're really excited to get into them. I've got a couple, and I think Gemma got a couple, and so yeah. Should we just jump straight in?
Let's do it.
Who's going first? Do you want me to go first?
You can do, yeah.
Okay, so all of these questions are anonymous. So yeah. Don't panic if you sent us a question in and you're listening right now thinking shit. If we accidentally say your name, we'll edit it out because that probably will happen at some point. So the first question is, okay, so I have this friendship and it gives me anxiety when we meet up. Should I walk away from the friendship? That's the entire question, so it's quite short and to the point. So this friendship causes her anxiety when she sees this person. Should she walk away from it?
Yes.
Next question.
The thing is with that, I think it's about noticing how those people around you make you feel. And that can be the same, not just for friends, but, you know, any kind of relationship in your life, whether that be a professional relationship or family or friends or, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I think when you're in somebody's company and it makes you feel, and you get that feeling, that sense of dread, I think it's time to walk away.
I totally agree. And as somebody that's walked away from family, I totally agree in that I don't think you should, no matter who somebody is to you, whether it's because they've been in your life for a really long time, like whatever it is, if somebody's not good for you, they don't deserve kind of a place there in my mind. I mean, it's a very vague question because it does say that this person gives her anxiety, and obviously that could be for all manner of reasons. It might not be that they're not a nice person, but if it's because they're making you feel uncomfortable, or they're doing, like, their actions are making you feel anxious, then you should walk away, in our opinion.
Absolutely. I think the thing is as well, and you kind of touched on it there, I think sometimes we get in these situations where we feel like we owe something to somebody, and especially when it's family, or like you say, you've been friends with them for a really long time or something like that, and we sort of allow these people to treat us like shit, to be completely honest, because of that fact. Oh, well, you know, I've been friends with them for years, and it's not right. If someone's making you feel like that, or, you know, like you say, they might, if they're treating her badly or whatever, then you need to put those boundaries in place. And you haven't got to necessarily just stop talking to her dead and never, you know, just completely delete her, block her and all the rest of it, but just even putting some boundaries in place with her to kind of protect yourself a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in a situation before where I think you know this story, Gem, where I've completely blown up at somebody in not a particularly nice way, because I sat on feelings for like a really long time and let them build up till I had a couple too many glasses of wine, and I was horrendous, and the things I said, like, completely inexcusable, but no, they are inexcusable. But what I'm trying to say is we could have avoided that situation had we not just kind of sat on it for a really long time. That was, I feel like, the cause. And I think it's important, like you say, even if you just distance yourself. I have, I guess, friends that at one point were a lot closer to me than they are now, and this doesn't necessarily just go one way, because they might feel the exact same towards me as well, but it's healthier for both of us if we're not in each other's lives every single day, and that's okay as well. And I don't think you should excuse it. Like, I've had a friend before, where I'll call her Gemma just for the sake of this, where whenever she did something that upset somebody, or she said something insensitive, or she did something that was just not nice, we used to go, oh yeah, but it's Gemma though, isn't it? And it was almost like it was an excuse, because that's what we've come to expect from Gemma. But it's like, no, that just because of who she is doesn't make that okay. You still have to, like, put a stop to that, and, like you say, have some boundaries in place at some point, because it's you that suffers.
Absolutely. But I think it's the same as well as you know, everyone's got that friend, and I hate to break this to you, if you don't know who that friend is, it's probably you.
Oh, I think it's me too. I think
everyone's got that friend, haven't they, that is just, you know, really bitchy and harsh, and then will blame it on, oh yeah, but I tell it how it is. No, you don't tell it how it is, you're just being a dickhead. Like, and we all know those people, don't we? All of us, you know, we all know those people, or perhaps we are those people. But at the end of the day,
were in my dream once.
Yeah, I was, wasn't I?
In my dream once, you were horrible. You were such a bitch. I woke up and I was like, I don't like her anymore.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not like that in real life.
No, you weren't. And then I told you what it was about, and you gave the sweetest response, and I was like, that's very different to the dream.
Real life Gemma's much better than dream Gemma, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem, isn't it? Like, people have this, oh yeah, but that's, like you say, that's typical Gemma. Oh yeah, it was because she's got no filter and things like that. And I think a lot of the time people hide behind that. But if you don't feel comfortable just because of the way somebody is, or because they don't have a filter, or because they tell it how it is, or whatever else, you shouldn't be made to feel like shit.
No, I totally agree. Like, you just have to know, and sometimes it takes a while. Like, it's not necessarily an overnight decision or action to take, but it's always the right action to take. And when I've walked away from people in my past before, both family or friends, don't get me wrong, sometimes I question the decision, sometimes I worry about it, whatever else, but You can only do what's right for you in this moment. And actually, I could honestly, hand on heart, say that I know if I went back to any of those relationships, they would be exactly as they were before. It's just looking at it with a different view now I'm away from it. So I think it's always the right decision. Like, you know what, to ask the question, you know what the answer is.
Yeah. Do you know, as well though, I had a group of friends that I was like best friends with through school, and I distanced myself because I just realized how unhealthy the whole situation was when I was about, I think I was about 20, 21. So a long time ago, man. That is a long time ago. So like, you know, however X amount of years ago. And it's funny because now as I am, I definitely would have handled the situation better. I just literally distanced myself until the point that I then just stopped talking to him. And then I got a new number and didn't give any of my number, and got a new Facebook and didn't add any of them on Facebook. And that was me putting my boundaries in place, not very well, but because I was very emotionally very immature then and didn't have the capacity to process what I was feeling, to label it, and definitely didn't have the capacity to sort of confront someone and be like, I don't like the way you're treating me, I don't like the way you're making me feel. But it's what I needed to do. And maybe the person that asked the question needs to do something, you know, not condoning just ghosting, but maybe those boundaries need to be put in place for you just to kind of give you that space.
100%. I think also, just on another note, if we're totally off base and it's not somebody not being nice, because actually as we're talking, it's kind of occurred to me that I've been through a situation before as well where somebody's caused me a lot of anxiety, and it was difficult to be around that person, but not through anything that they were necessarily doing, but because they had been through a really bad time and had lost somebody incredibly close to them. And about, I reckon we're talking kind of 6 years after this person had passed away, I had to draw a line, which sounds horrendous, but it was to a point where I couldn't watch this person suffer and not help themselves any longer, because it had been a number of years and it was so hard and anxiety provoking towards me as well, that it became too much. And I think there's also that side of it where you do ultimately, you have to be like, if somebody in that type of situation, yes, be a good friend, be helpful, be what you can, but also know when you can't help somebody as well. And if somebody's causing a decline in your health long term, not just because they're going through something bad that's, you know, 6 months, even a year long, but when it's like just the way that they are in life, or it's the way that they've become, then I think you ultimately still have to make the decision that's right for you, no matter how difficult that feels.
Absolutely. But even if they're not doing anything to you specifically to like be nasty, or, you know, it's not anything that they're necessarily doing, but you just they're really negative, and that every time you see them, you walk away from that encounter feeling like, oh, I'm so drained, because they're like a proper energy vampire. Or, you know, every time I see them, they're so negative. And well, I think that's the thing to kind of normalize, isn't it? Is putting yourself first in those situations and having enough self-love and self-compassion and care for yourself to recognize, you know, I don't come away from these encounters feeling good. I come away feeling drained. I come away feeling anxious. I come away feeling shit. Like, why am I putting myself through this? I don't enjoy their company. Like, what am I even doing? You know, you better be better off spending your time with people that make you feel good, that make you laugh, that make you, you know, you look forward to seeing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, we hope that answered. We hope that answered your question.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I feel like one of those scenarios must apply.
We covered a few.
Yeah.
Shall I've got 2 questions as well.
Yeah,
so
go on.
I will do this one first. Hi girls, love the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I absolutely hate my job. I really want to start my own business. I love your Insta, Lauren, and would love some advice on where to start. I don't have any real skills.
Okay, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I don't believe you.
Everyone has some skills,
Everybody
even if not on paper.
Back to the previous question, show yourself a little bit of love, please. It is, you definitely do have skills. I think for me, in starting my business, I don't know if you can relate to this as well, Gem, and like how you did. I'm not saying I'm not good at what I do. I like to think I am, but that wasn't where I decided what I was going to do. It wasn't where are my skills? It was, what do I enjoy doing? How can I build my skills to help in that area that I enjoy? That was the way around that I did it. I don't know if that's the same for you though.
I always used to say, I very, very similar to this person, in that I always used to say I wanted my own business. I had several businesses actually when I was younger, different varying things. I started an online sex toy company.
Did you?
I did when I was 21.
That for you.
Yeah, didn't last very long.
Miss Gemma Jameson.
Pardon?
Miss Gemma Jameson.
Yeah, there you go. Bants. Anyway, I've had a few.
Let's not go down that avenue.
even do you know, when I was a little girl, and I mean I was little, probably like 11 or 12, I had a business on some holidays braiding hair. Do you remember like when you used to have the bit of hair like wrapped around?
I looked for one at Western Supermare because I really wanted one.
Okay, so I started a business with that. I used to pay one of my friends as well to come and braid hair. Anyway, I digress. So I always used to say, people would be like, well, you know, what you're passionate about. And I always say, I don't have a passion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not passionate about anything, which is the biggest crock of shit ever, because everyone's passionate about something. But it's just, I think when we think passion, we think, you know, I don't know, animals or painting, or I can't think of another example right now. But for me, my passion is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And that took time. That took me going through my own struggles to work out that's where my passion lies. And most specifically, helping people that are experiencing anxiety, depression, stuff that I've gone through myself, to help them come out the other side of it. So I think, first of all, you obviously do have skills. Everyone's got skills. Mm-hmm. And just take a bit of a step back, maybe, to look at what you love.
What you love and what you want to put into the world, I think, a bit as well, as kind of wanky as that sounds, because fun fact, when we started this podcast, originally it was called Not to Be Wanky, or Not to Sound Wanky.
Yes, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it does sound a bit wanky, but what you want to put out, because for me, I would definitely say that I've got two very separate passions that aren't that one's very much my business and one's very much not my business, although they do overlap a bit. And that is the fact that I help people set up their businesses. And like you, Gem, I've a number of times throughout the years tried to create businesses, do that kind of thing, because it's always been something I've wanted to do. So there's that side of me, which I mean, in a lot of ways is very similar to you. And then the mental health side of it as well, which isn't part of my business. I would love to do something more with it at some, like, one day. But the reason I say what you want to put out into the world is because you also have to, it's what you're passionate about, but also what you can handle. In the sense that, especially if it's something that is deep, like mental health, where it can be very triggering and quite difficult. Because for me, I tried to do mental health as a coach, and I found it quite triggering for my own anxiety. So even though I'm really passionate about it, and I still talk about it at any opportunity that I can, and actually it's something that me and Gemma massively connected on and why we became friends, and I will talk about it at any opportunity, I'm very open about it, I realised quite quickly it wasn't something that I could work in for my own sake. So it's what do you want to do? And if that's something really deep and life-changing and meaningful to the world, that's amazing. But if it's making shoes, that's also okay, because you'll still create happiness and you'll still help people. It doesn't have to be really deep. It's great if it is, because that's needed as well. But equally, don't feel like you have to have this passion that's going to put you in flipping some sort of history book. Do you know what I mean? It can be a passion that's smaller than that, but that still is huge to people. I think that's something that I had to overcome, because I automatically assumed that it had to be mental health because that was the biggest thing in my life. But actually, it didn't have to be. It could be, and actually it's very infused into what I do, because the reason probably that I'm so passionate about starting my own business is because I never thought I was going to be able to, because of my mental health. So actually I think it all like massively fuses together. But do you get what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I've found I've had to do a lot of things to safeguard my mental health, because of doing what I do, and the way that I do help people with anxiety, because it is triggering when you experience it yourself. But I think as well, you don't mind what you're saying, that it doesn't have to be, it's like a life change or whatever. But the thing is, I think
anything can be.
Absolutely. And also I think it's just the thing that makes the biggest difference is why. And right, so for example, for those that are listening that don't know about coaching, it's a big industry, but you tend to find that, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, but most of not all, but most of the really successful coaches that make a lot of money are like business or that kind of neck of the woods, aren't they? Would you say that's quite fair? I think not all of them, but a vast majority.
I think because it's the thing that gives a financial return.
Absolutely. And when I did my coaching qualification, which is how I met Lauren, my first niche was how to discover your passion and monetize it. Because I thought, well, that's what I'd pay for. Spoiler alert, I did not do that for very long, because I was not passionate about it in the slightest.
You also never paid for it. You also never paid for it with anyone else.
No, true.
So goes to show that you wouldn't necessarily, that's my point.
True, yeah. But so the thing is though, I felt like I had to do something that made a lot of money. And when I had that attitude, nothing went anywhere. Whereas when I stopped worrying about that and just did what felt right to me, the minute I've had a few niches before settling on what I do now, but by settling into that groove, things just felt so natural for me. And like same with you, Lauren, I feel like I could talk about mental health till the cows come home. So it's something that's really comfortable for me to talk about, and it doesn't feel like a job, doesn't feel hard, does it? Do you feel the same with what you do?
100%. I don't feel like I have. It's funny actually, because I think we keep referencing mental health, and obviously that's not what the person asked at all. But I think it's we have businesses, I think, for very different reasons as well, in the sense, obviously, like we want them to make our lives easier and more enjoyable and all those things as well, of course. But it makes you feel better to an extent, because of course it does. Anything that you do, hopefully it makes you feel good in some way, right? So it makes you feel better to help people with their anxiety, because that helps you feel better mentally. Whereas I use it as my escape to not talk about my anxiety. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like almost like an opposite kind of thing, but it's just finding something that you want to talk about. And that's the thing, whether it's something that's like really meaningful to you, or whether it's something really like surface level, it has to be something that you're totally okay and comfortable and excited to talk about all the time, and then make it work. Then figure out how I can make money off that thing once you've figured out what it is that you actually want to do. And that is how it will work more so than the other way around.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, if you haven't got the skills in that particular thing, there's a lot I didn't know about starting a business. The business that I had completely failed. So there was a lot I had to learn, and I have invested a lot of money in learning. First of all, I didn't have to. There were other ways I could have done it, but I wanted to do it in a quick way, really, to be honest. But I made the conscious effort to learn, and so you can learn. It's the passion for the thing that you can't manufacture.
Yeah.
The skills and the education and the other stuff, you can figure that out later. Like, figure out what you want to do, then figure out how you get the skills that you need. Don't do it the other way around. And yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. And also, don't be afraid to change, because even though, I mean, I'm sure we'd have got the same advice really early on as well, and we still made those decisions that were the wrong decisions in what we did, because sometimes you have to try things out. And I could be sat here otherwise right now thinking maybe I should have gone down the anxiety route because I didn't know it would affect me. So you have to try things, and if you have to change what you do, even if that's completely, like, even if we decided we didn't want to become coaches anymore and we wanted to be VAs, like, that's totally okay. You just roll with the punches of that, because there is a lot of change in those first few months, and then suddenly it will just click and you'll stop changing.
I think the other thing also that's worth saying to the person that's asked the question is that, I mean, we're talking about coaching because that's obviously what we do.
Oh, it's relevant to anything though, yeah.
Literally, there is so many options as well. I think that's the other thing that's opened my eyes since sort of coming into this online space, is that there are so many options and there are so many different avenues you can go down. And it's not what you think, in that a lot of it, you don't need anything. Like, there's not a massive outlay of, like, you know, if you think about, I don't know, opening a coffee shop or opening you know, a physical shop or something, like, you've not got the outlay of spending all that sort of money. It's relatively,
because you don't even need to be qualified. So depending on what you do, you don't actually have to do anything, to be honest. You could just rock up.
Pretty much any idea you can come up with, you can make a business out of it, basically.
Yeah, 100%. And you can do a lot and make a lot of money with relatively little stuff. Like a VA, for example, you literally have a laptop. You can work from wherever you want in the entire world. A VA, by the way, is a virtual assistant, so like a PA, but virtually, so not actually sat in the office. So you could do that from anywhere, and you can make serious money, and you don't have to have any qualifications. You don't have to go through any training. If you want to do a course for something like that, like the average one is about 120 quid. Like, it's literally nothing compared to other stuff. So don't feel like you're limited because of your finances. That's
absolutely.
Like that, so you can start on the side as well. You don't have to give up everything. But yeah, I just say, if you're unsure but you have an idea that you want to start a business, it's not you have to quit your job tomorrow and go all in. Of course you don't. You give it a go, try it on the side, see if you enjoy it. If you don't, you stop. If you want to change it, you change it. If like, there's no right or wrong. You just have to do what feels good in the moment, and you don't want to regret it by not trying. And I don't know about you, it's definitely not easy. That's why you have to be passionate about it as well, because it's not easy, and there'll be a lot of times where you want to put your head through a wall, but like, really. But I would never regret having done it. I don't know about you.
There are times when you just, you know, I've spent, well, you know, normally if I'm having a bit of a shit day, I'll speak to Lauren and vice versa. But then there'll be times like I'll get one of my clients sent me a message the other day saying that she was able to go out and do something that when we started working together, she never in a million years would have done. And I just, the feeling of, oh my God, like, that I've been able to even help a tiny bit facilitate that. And it makes all the struggle and all the hard work so worth it.
What I will say, actually, very much on like a quick final note on this one as well is, and I think you would 100% agree with this as well, Gemma, regardless of what business it is that you own, and you will never understand this, I don't think, to quite the extent if you don't have a business, but anybody that's listening to this that does will fully understand what we're saying. When you own a business, when you earn £5, that £5 means so much to you compared to a £3,000 paycheck at a job. And that is something that you can't get anywhere else. And it's tough, but it's worth it, because every little bit of money you make, every little person that you influence or make their day better or anything, is so much more magnified than it is when you're doing somebody else's job rather than something that you created yourself.
I've spent the last nigh on 20 years in sales, and yet there is nothing quite the same as when you are doing something like what we do. That person is giving me their money for me, not for a product, not for something I'm selling on behalf of a company. Directly, they are giving me their money for me. And that is both nerve-wracking and amazing all at once.
Incredible. And also that would go exactly the same if you were somebody that made something and like sold something that you made,
because it's your hard work. And I think that's the difference. Than when you're working for somebody else, you're selling that product, that brand, that whatever it is that you're selling on behalf of someone. When it's your own business, it's you that they're buying. And whether that is, like you say, your name on a mug or a t-shirt or whatever, but it's product or service, they're buying you.
Go for it and tell us if you do, because we'd love to know.
We would.
Amazing. Should we jump into the next one?
Let's go.
Okay, so
these, by the way.
So am I. The next one says that 2 friends of theirs from work 8 years ago have now dropped you. I think they've been friends for 8 years. It's a very difficult question, this, because they've got a very small text box and they've tried to fit a lot of words into not very many characters. So I'm deciphering it as I read it. I have read through it once to make sense of it. 2 friends from work from 8 years ago, so I think they've been friends for 8 years, have now dropped me because they are having an affair, I'm assuming together, and one of them has been married for 10 years. I wonder why she's been dropped. Because she knows about because they're having an affair, so now she's the third wheel. Do you reckon that's why? Or because she knows about the affair?
I mean, I feel like we definitely should have messaged this person for more clarification.
Well, let's pretend she's being third wheeled.
Okay, so the first thing I would say to you is, do you really want to be all up in that?
No, because that's a messy situation anyway. Like, not even as a third wheel, they're having an affair. And they've been married, one of them's been married for 10 years. And
I'm guessing if you've known him for 8 years, you probably know the spouse.
And they would have been like relatively newlywed when they met as well.
Oh, man.
That's true.
Yeah. So, or are they asking if they should tell the spouse?
Okay, would you tell? If you had friends that were having an affair.
Isn't it? That is such a hard one. Because the thing is, on one hand, you'd be like, well, of course you'd tell them, right? You would have to. But on the other hand, do you really want to be the one to break up a 10-year marriage?
But then I would be devastated if somebody had known Steve was having an affair.
And not told you?
Yeah. I would be devastated that he was having the affair, but I would be devastated if somebody had known and not told me. Like, it would have been like a double affair. Do you know what I mean? It would have been like a double cheating situation for me.
I feel as well, though, like with things like that, I have been cheated on. And it's like the humiliation part of, well, how many people knew?
Your door just went.
Your door's gone?
Yeah. Hang on.
Oh, God, don't leave me to entertain the nation again.
The nation. Did you give me up?
I'll just do some ASMR.
What are you saying to yourself?
No, I shouted after you, should I do some ASMR? And then I just sat here awkwardly smiling at the camera.
I just opened the door to a stranger and all you hear is, shall I do some ASMR?
For a laugh. I was joking. I'm guessing you're going to cut this bit out.
I mean, I might not.
I don't know. I just sat there like this.
Sorry, go back to what you were saying.
No, what did he want?
He wanted to know if I'd got anything for the auction.
What auction?
I don't know.
Fucking hell.
I just looked at him and I went, I don't think so. And he went, oh, did you get a leaflet? And I went, I don't know. And he went, oh, okay, don't worry. And I was like, okay.
Oh dear.
I was in a bit of a like, and I could just hear you in the background fucking nattering on us talking about ASMR. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? You know, actually, now I'm digesting. There's a sign on the way into the village that says something about some auction, but I can never read it fully because I'm driving past and my eyes can't focus quick enough. And I only ever see the word auction. You know, when you see the same word.
Yeah, I do.
So I'm assuming it's to do with that.
Okay. All right. So should we jump back? Let's jump back into this lady. Where were we?
I ain't got a fucking clue.
Oh no. Okay. So yeah, would we tell?
Oh, you said that you've been cheated on and the embarrassment of it.
Yeah, because that embarrassment of like thinking that others know and they're almost. I don't know whether it's more the embarrassment of, oh, poor Gemma, or like poor, enter name here of the person, or is it like, you know, that judgment of like, oh, she must know, how can she not know, or do you know what I mean, like something like that. I think in that scenario I would rather be told and would rather tell somebody to save them that kind of embarrassment. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's my worst nightmare anyway, to be in a relationship with someone that just doesn't want to be in it enough not to be doing that. I'd much rather, as anyone would, I'd much rather they just left. So I think it would just be like a double situation for me, and I feel like it would be really important too. But I do also understand the difficulty. It's very easy for me to say it, but I do understand the difficulty when you're friends with both of them, and I also understand it when you're potentially more friends with the person that's having the affair as well.
Yeah,
because it's then like your loyalty really technically lays with that person, and it's, I don't know, like I would hope, I don't know if you would, but I would hope that like Steve's brother would tell me if he knew that Steve had an affair. Do you know what I mean? Like I still feel like there's
it's
that.
his brother.
I know, but I still hope he would. And actually, I think he would probably. I think he probably would. I think he would say, "Steve, tell her tonight, or I'm telling her." I think he would.
Yeah.
And I would hope he would. Like I would tell my brother's girlfriend if my brother cheated on her.
I don't think anyone. I don't know who would tell me if Ben was cheating on me.
Oh, see, that's the problem, isn't it? You need some random brother or sister to tell you.
Who's having some sort of affair at work? I don't suppose how I would ever find out.
No, well, they're the tricky ones as well, aren't they? Because your paths don't cross with anybody there. And that is the thing. Like, I actually read a statistic the other day of something like, at some point, it's like in the 90s, I can't remember, but some high percentage of people at some point think they've fallen in love with a coworker, and that could be from like 18-year-old plus, like, do you know what I mean, like we've all been at work before with like at a bar job or something, and you've like fancied the guy that works behind the bar or whatever it is, but it's at some point in your working life, and it specifically said thinks they've fallen in love, because the idea of the statistic that I saw, I think there was an article that was attached to it, was that you don't really, it's just when you're at work you have so much in common, but actually, and you're bored, but when you step away from work you don't actually think they're funny at all. It's just because you're at work and it's shit.
I was in love with a co-worker when I was 14.
Okay.
And it was very awkward. I'll tell you this quickly.
What?
You can take this out if you want, but I'll just tell you because you'll piss yourself laughing.
I'm not taking it out.
Oh, okay, well, I'll tell you anyway. It was 14. I was 14 and I worked in a pub kitchen, and it was the most awkward thing. I was in love with this. His name is Ben, actually. I was oh yeah, I haven't changed that name. You have to boop that bit out. I was in love with this boy. Oh my god, he was younger than me. His little brother was the same age as me, and his little brother, we'll call him Dave, also worked there. And it was, I was obsessed with him, literally. I used to write like, I heart Ben. I used to put like Mrs. Gemma surname, and I was legit obsessed with him to the point I used to do extra shifts if I knew he was working, so it'd just be me and him in the kitchen. Obsessed. And basically people assumed I fancied his younger brother, so they made a little dinner for us, and the brother was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I fancy your older brother.
Aww.
It was really the most vicious love triangle.
Wow. To be fair, I've I've got with a few people at work over the years.
I never got with him, but he was like 18 and I was 14, so that probably would have been a bit weird.
I've had a few instances like that. I'm trying to think. So when I was 17, part-time job, I ended up in a like a 3-month relationship with this guy that I worked with. When I was 23-ish, when I was on my placement year from uni, I ended up with a guy that I worked with. And again, neither of these have been long term. And then when I was 25-ish, I fancied my boss and never said anything. And then the day I left, I got the balls and I texted him and we met.
I remember you saying this.
We met up for lunch and we did kiss, but that was it. But yeah, so there you go. That's my my dating in people I worked with. I wouldn't have said I was in love with any of them, but I think I can see what they mean. And actually I can think of another guy off the top of my head that nothing ever happened with, but we just had like, I'm not even sure I would have ever done anything with him, but it was like just flirty. That was just our relationship, like that kind of like backwards and forwards flirty thing. So I can totally understand why people do feel like that.
So very off tangent there.
Yeah.
In a good way. Love that we're sharing this. You know, I'm sure everyone wants, you know, to know this. However,
they like to know about us at the same time.
They do. We're giving the people what they want.
There you go.
However, we've gone off on the tangent that should she or should she not tell?
If it's just that they've ditched you, then fuck them.
If they've just ditched you, fucking send the wife or husband, depending on what way around it is, or maybe same sex, who knows, but send them a fucking message on Facebook, I say.
Could you imagine?
Again, please don't take this to heart, because what we say, take it with a pinch of salt.
That is a bold move. Do you know, I had a conversation with Steve the other day. Again, it's slightly off topic, but also not really. It was when we were away. I asked him, and again, it sounds like such like a loaded question, but I genuinely just wanted to know his opinion. I said, do you think someone was cheating on TV? And I said, do you think at some point, if you say marry someone in your 20s, even 30s, even 40s, and you spend the rest of your life with them, and like presuming that you live a decent life, do you think at some point in any relationship there is it's pretty much 100% certain there will be a time at some point in that relationship where you could cheat, or you question it and you go, and you either do it or you go, nah, don't be silly, I've had a couple too much to drink, or nah, like I'm gonna walk away right now because I just had a bit of flirty banter with that person? Do you think pretty much everybody at some point has that moment where it could go one way or the other?
I don't know about being in the position where it could happen. I think everyone has little crushes, even if it's on a celebrity.
But that's not the same.
You don't think?
No, I mean in a real situation where you could go and cheat and you actively decide not to, or you actively decide to do it.
I don't know when I would ever be in that situation though. Putting myself in that position, I don't know when I would ever be in a place where I could cheat on them.
I mean, you could in a work situation.
Yeah, but I don't know that I would. And I'm not just saying this in case Ben listens. I don't think he listens to our podcast anyway, which is terrible. So you done, Eva?
You the other day asked me if I'm still a coach. Sorry, can I just... I told Roz this the other day. No, what he actually said was... No, sorry, he didn't ask if I was still a coach. He asked why I'm not a coach. And I said, what do you think I do?
Fuck.
I said, what do you think I do? And he went, what? And by the way, I'd just been talking to him about a course I'm launching in August with my coaching business. And I was like, I'm sorry, hang on a minute. And he went, well, I've not heard you talk about it in ages. And I was like, we were literally just like, why do you think Gemma was here? Well, why do you think I talked to Gemma? Like, what do you think all of this is? And then it occurred to me that he hadn't associated that what I do for people's businesses is me coaching, and either he hasn't listened to a conversation, or in the midst of everything, I've just completely forgotten to mention to him that I don't help people with anxiety anymore.
Lauren, that's hilarious.
Like just chilling, thinking that's what I've been doing all this time, and then the business thing is just like something else on the side.
What about the video editing? Where do you think that comes from?
What do you think I do? I was like, I'm so confused. Anyway, sorry. That was
how funny.
Just a side thought that just literally, like, it was literally last week. What were we talking about?
I think let's just bring it back around.
Go on.
So basically, to answer your question, well, it wasn't really a question, was it more of a statement? We personally don't condone cheating. I'm saying that on behalf of both of us. You don't condone it either, do you?
Of course not.
No, just saying it, and if your friends...
Can I just say, though, I will say this before somebody else points it out, I have been the bad one in a cheating situation before.
Have you really?
A very not the person that's cheated, but the other person in the scenario, the third person in the scenario, in my like teenage, early 20 years. Don't condone it, don't excuse it, but I also feel like it would be completely hypocritical of me not to mention it, because we know it, it's fact. But of course, do not condone it. Didn't even condone it then, was just in love in my head, but not really.
I might not also be as innocent as I make.
There you go then. Look, most people aren't. This is my point. But there we go. Anyway, we don't condone it. And
we don't. Now we're older and wiser.
There you go. And if you would like to ask us an actual question that we can make out, I'm so sorry, because I know that you actually tried. It's only because on Instagram, it only gives you like a certain amount of characters to write a question. And so they've like tried to squeeze it in a box. But if you would like us to still tackle this problem, it might be that the affair is over, because we planned to do this episode fucking ages ago. But if another 10 years have passed. But if you would like us to still answer it, let us know, DM me personally if you want to, send like the person I know that you know me, that's fine, we'll sort it out for you.
Yeah, and we hope that you've gained some clarity from our rambling.
If nothing else, you've learned more about us. There you go.
Yeah,
go on.
Okay.
Where's the final question, Gem?
Okay, so dear Gem and Loz, I had a baby girl, congratulations, just over a year ago. I'm fed up of people commenting on my post-baby body. I put a lot of weight on and my body is totally different. I'm so upset with how I look and my self-confidence is non-existent. I don't have it in me to argue with them. What can I do to help myself feel better?
Can I just say, first of all, I pulled a face halfway through that. It wasn't at the person, it was at the other person. I was like... wasn't at the person asking the question, just to make that clear if you're a YouTube viewer. I mean we've discussed this before, me and you, just in general, about weight and stuff in general, but I don't understand that need, not even just in weight, in anything, or anybody to point out or mention anything. There's this rule, isn't there? I don't know if you've heard it before. It's like, people always say you shouldn't point out a flaw in someone if it's not something that they can fix in the next 5 seconds. For example, something on their face, a bit of hair on their face.
Something in their teeth.
Something in their teeth. Something that they can sort out immediately. If not, keep fucking stum. And I just, first of all, I just don't get it. But in terms of baby weight, take it away, because I can't contribute.
No, but even regardless, I mean, I don't even think it's really relevant that you've had a baby, to be honest with you, because I think that, like Lauren says, it's not anyone's business. No. And I think all too often people think it's appropriate, acceptable, whatever, to make comments on things. And funny enough, we were having this conversation, wasn't that long ago, was it, about the difference. I'm much more chunky but funky. And Lauren,
chunky but funky. Excuse me, I'm more funky than you.
That's what Ben says I am, chunky and funky.
I love that.
But I am chunky and funky. Lauren is slinky and funky. I don't know.
We'll work on that.
Slinky and finky. but yeah, like, Lauren is a lot more slim than I am. And it's funny how it's not just getting called fat, whereas obviously I've had comments about my weight for a long time. I'd like to point out I'm not like, I'm big. I'm quite comfortable with that, but it's amazing how people feel it necessary to comment. And I've had comments, things like, oh my God, you'd be so pretty if you lost weight and stuff like that. Not just recently, since I do have a baby, but not since having him, but just in general. And whereas it surprised me that Lauren got comments about her weight from the opposite end of the scale, about saying how slim she was. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, it's not just people calling other people fat or calling them out because they put weight on or because this, that, and the other. Just in general, people should just keep their mouth shut and not comment on other people's appearances. As for you not having any self-confidence, give yourself a damn minute. You've literally given birth to a baby, you say, about a year ago. Your body's all over the place still. And, you know, it takes you 9 months to grow a human. You don't then snap back. Some people do, don't get me wrong, but for the most of us, you don't snap back to normal within 5 minutes after giving birth. And I know a year might seem like a long time, but it's really not.
No.
And yeah, I think the other thing as well is that when we don't feel great about ourselves, then other people's comments affect us that much more.
Do you know, I was just literally looking, so I was trying to find it and I couldn't remember what they were saying. I was having a conversation with a bunch of friends the other day, and this person was saying how they'd been called out online mainly. It's easier, isn't it? And in what we do, there's a lot of people that are online all the time for their jobs. But this person had been called out for how I can't remember what word she used, but effectively how bad her teeth were or how wonky her teeth were. And there were comments about it on this video that she had posted and how it really bothered her. And then somebody else in the group chat was saying how she used to get bullied when she was little or at school because of her ears and that they stuck out too much and all these just like things that make you conscious. And we were talking about it because the person that said about her teeth, so she was going to get her teeth done, that was going to be the thing that she did when her business earned a certain amount of money. And I said, if that's something that you want to do for you, I'm not against that. Like, I've had moles cosmetically removed before. I'm not against any type of cosmetic surgery, but only if it's for you and not because of somebody else's comment.
Yeah.
And then it was the same with the one with the ears, and she was saying how she's considered having them pinned a few times and stuff. But it's when it's purely down to somebody else's comments that it just really winds me up so much, because we all have things that we don't like about ourselves. And when, like you say, when somebody points them out, I realize you can't always help it. There are like words that trigger me that you would never know trigger me. Like it's not an appearance one, but I hate being called boring. I think I'm boring. I've always thought I'm boring. It's like a thing of mine. And so if you like even jokey be like, Lauren, stop being boring, it bothers me more than it should bother me. Do you know what I mean? It's a word that bothers me. So don't get me wrong. I know there are things that you can say that you don't know are going to sink as deep as they do. But I think anything that you say that's about the way somebody is as a person, personality, the way they look, etc., even if it's not something that they feel super self-conscious about, just isn't needed. Simple.
Do you think though, again, going back to the whole, what we're saying about with the first question about the tough love, I've got no filter, that kind of attitude, because that's something for me, and I don't know if you've had this with comments with you, but that's the thing that's always really upset me the most, is when someone makes a comment about something and you get upset, and then their justification is that they were saying that because they care. And that to me always hit harder than, say, you know, kids at school telling me I'm fat. It always hits so much harder when it's, you know, my mum taking me to go and buy clothes or taking me to Weight Watchers or doing these things. And I look back now, I wasn't even big, like, but I was just, I've always been very curvaceous. And that's the thing. And for a young girl, that's not, you know, having boobs and hips and a bum and all the rest of it. I didn't fit that look.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. I've never been what you would consider to ever struggle with my weight, but I was the curvy one at school when I was a young child, so I can even relate to that, being the one in a lineup that looks like a woman that doesn't look like any of the others, and you feel self-conscious enough as it is. But I think often that gets banded around though, and people don't do it out of concern. It just makes them feel better if they say that they are.
Absolutely.
And actually, I'd forgotten why we'd had this conversation before, but it was about something that had been said to me. I'm remembering it now, of like how that conversation started, and it was, oh, you sure you're okay? You're a lot skinnier than the last time I saw you. And it says, people say that to me a lot. It really winds me up, because I literally am the same weight I was when I was like 12. Like, I haven't changed. Don't get me wrong, I have, because I actually have had an eating disorder before, and so that probably plays into it as well. But it bothers me because I'm like, there is literally an empty Domino's box in front of me right now. Like, if anything, like, if I am like, my mum always laughs at it, because occasionally my nan will say something. She'll be like, are you sure Lauren's okay? It doesn't help because I wear a lot of baggy clothes, and I think it looks like I'm trying to like cover the fact that I've lost weight, but actually I don't want to wear a bra. So that's really the reason.
I can relate.
But my nan will mention things like, are you sure Lauren's okay, and whatever else. And my mum finds it hilarious. She's like, have you seen what Lauren ate yesterday? She was like, she ate me under the table. Like, there is no way Lauren isn't okay. If anything, I'm more going the other way in terms of health, like going the wrong way in eating too much shit. So I think sometimes but my point is, sometimes it can be said with trying to make yourself feel better. I've got a friend, again, somebody I have distanced myself from over the years, who used to regularly tell me I looked too skinny, or would point out usually something to do with my weight, and it's because she was very, very self-conscious about her own weight. And it was she'd put on a lot of weight through children and whatever else, and just life, naturally bigger than me anyway, and would yo-yo a lot more than I would, and her way of coping with how she felt about herself was to be like, Lauren, you look a bit actually like almost ill, like maybe you should eat something. And it was like, I realize that you're struggling, but it's not like, that's not how you deal with it.
No. But that also might be the case with this person here asking this question.
Yes. In
the people that are commenting on your weight, it says more about them than it does about you. And I definitely can relate to that as well, with what you're saying. And I think people that have made comments about my weight in the past is because they have such a solid obsession with their own weight, and with, it being such a deciding factor in their life. And I think from an advice perspective, the only thing I can say to you is learn to appreciate and love your body the way it is, because you've only got one, and no matter if you want to, you can't chop it in for a different model. So learn to make peace with what you've got now. And if you want to make healthier life choices and you want to be a healthier way or whatever, that is fine, do you. But like Lauren said about the lady wanting to have her teeth done, make sure it's coming from a place of, I want to feel better, I want more energy, I want this, rather than, oh shit, I better go to the gym, I better not eat that because I don't want to get more comments about my weight from people. So just, love yourself.
Can I just say on another note, and I realise my problems don't cancel out your problems and they're all valid, but also as somebody that has not got children, your body's done something pretty amazing. So don't give it too much shit, because it's pretty insane what it's just done.
Literally insane. And as RuPaul would say, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else?
It's like he's in the room.
Literally. Can I get an amen up in here?
Oh my god, someone stop her. Oh wow, there are questions. Anyway, we need to do a hobby segment because we fucked up.
So we didn't do one the last. I appreciate the way we've recorded them isn't how they've come out.
3 and 5.
Yeah, so we've missed a couple of hobby segments because we just were chatting for too long.
You didn't even notice. I voice noted Gemma afterwards being like,
hang on. In my defense, you didn't notice either until afterwards.
No, but when I messaged you, you didn't notice.
No, true.
I messaged her being like, did we forget something? And she's like, what did we forget? What did we forget? And I'm like, anyway, we haven't done them, but anyway, we will bring it back. Today we'll keep it fairly short because I felt like this was going to be a relatively short episode, and actually
just been chatting.
You just can't stop. We should have done one question. Maybe next series is just 12 questions and we just
one question a week. That would be really good.
But basically I have been trying to feel better within myself because I am, as we've just spoken, not the healthiest person in the world through what I eat, and I also don't exercise either, really, to be honest, ever. Really, never. So I have been trying, mainly mentally, for mental reasons rather than physical reasons. I have been trying to do yoga every single day. I haven't done it every single day, can I just say, but what I have done every single day is either yoga or meditated.
Nice.
So it's in the right direction. So it's kind of a dual one because it's kind of both, I guess.
What yoga have you been doing?
I've just been doing like YouTube videos of yoga.
Have you got anyone in particular?
Is she called Adrienne?
Oh, Yoga with Adrienne. Yeah,
I use her a lot.
Mine.
And sometimes, I know it's technically Pilates, but I sometimes do the other one, whose name has slipped my mind. Blogger Lattes, blogger blah 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 blah.
I have no idea what you're saying, but Yoga with Adrienne's really good. I do.
There's somebody else. Blogger Lattes, it's a person.
Oh.
So I've also been doing her. She's got 6.63 million subscribers. But it's technically Pilates, but it's basically just yoga as well. So
nice.
I've been doing both of those.
How have you been feeling?
Do you know what I will say? As I wouldn't say it's making me feel any type of way in terms of what it actually is right now yet, in terms of like making me feel like less stressed or anything. I don't feel like it does that for me at the moment. I struggle to like switch my head off, which like in turn doesn't really do much for me. And obviously exercise wise, it's not like the most strenuous thing in the world, although it does make you feel a bit good. What I will say though is I only do it on work days, and I say it with a pinch of salt because I don't necessarily always work the same days, but roughly I work like on work days. And what I will say is I do it first thing in the morning. I come downstairs, I have a glass of water, which is also something I'm trying to do because I'm shit. And my yoga mat is in the lounge. I get up, I do it, I open my laptop and I do it. Meditation, if it's a day for meditation, I quite often do that lying in bed, to be honest. And then I feel a lot more ready to work, should I say. Yeah,
good.
So I sit down and then it's like, right, let's start work. Whereas normally when I get up in the morning, it's like, oh, should I have a cup of tea, scroll through my phone for a bit, and I don't start as quickly. So it's definitely making me start my day more productively. So that's definitely positive. So I'm definitely going to try and keep it up for a while.
I did Yoga with Adrienne, does like a 30-day every month. She does like a yoga video every day. Not a new video, but she does like a calendar.
Oh, I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, you can subscribe to a thing, but I found that really helpful. And what I also found was by doing it every day, things like I get like really tight shoulders or like pains in my neck or pains in my back, that went, and I was a lot more flexible. So like I'm not the most flexible person in the world, but I could like touch my toes and I could like do things that I couldn't do before. That was a big thing I found.
Well, this is the thing, right? So I get quite bad back because even though I have an office, I am pretty bad working from the sofa occasionally, and obviously it's not the best place to work. And with a little MacBook, you're constantly like looking down at it as well, to the point where that man took my picture in Starbucks. Can you remember?
Yes, I can.
A man took my picture that worked for a posture company because he wanted to show it in a presentation. It's like, it was a real kick in the teeth when you know you're not the good example. It's definitely, that's part of the reason why I'm doing it. The other reason is I suddenly realized how inflexible I was the first day I did it, because there was a bit where you had to bend down and touch your toes, and I was a cheerleader at uni and I wasn't fit then. Like the first day we had a session, I was dead, but I could always touch my toes, and it really shocked me that I couldn't, because I was like, when the fuck did that happen?
Literally.
So yeah, I still can't, but it'll be interesting to see if that.
Wow, keep us updated on the toe touch situation.
I will do. Which is weird. I will, because I'll put something on Instagram the week that this goes up, and maybe I will be able to by then.
Maybe you should do a video of you doing yoga, but do a speeded up one, because that'd be hilarious.
Okay. I might do. To be fair, I didn't put anything up for my skipping.
Well, you need to do that as well.
A few weeks ago because I was embarrassed. So I might.
Okay. Well, thank you.
For anyone
Namaste.
I'm suddenly praying on the, I don't know why. Anyway,
Namaste. There you go.
thank you so much for listening today, or watching, depending on where you listen to us. We are on all the different platforms, if you didn't already know. Make sure if you're on YouTube, I'm doing my little spiel now that we never do. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you like and subscribe to our channel so that you do not miss any videos. You can also hit the bell icon so you get notified when we upload. And also, if you listen to us on Apple, Amazon or Spotify, make sure you follow us and leave us a review, because it really helps us out. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. You're such a little YouTuber, aren't you? Don't forget to hit that bell, subscribe, like button, something. Don't know, clearly not a YouTuber. Well, thank you. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
See you next time. Goodbye.